Man, that took way too long to try to figure that out. That was ridiculous. I feel Instagram handicapped. Let me see if I can find my goddaughter. Where's she at? I'm looking for you, dear. Hi, Iya Oshungere. I'm looking for my Ihala right now. Agboato. All right, for all of y'all waiting for Madame Feminaci to get on, she should be coming on any minute, hopefully. If we can find her. I'm trying to send her an invite now. What's up, what's up, what's up? This is my first time doing this, so this was actually my idea, so there she goes. Yay.
Yeah, it worked on yours.
Hello, can you see me?
I can see you.
All right, our test is successful.
All right, so I guess do I have to tell? Oh, I guess people can see. Oh, I don't have to tell them.
You want to post it?
No,
You sure?
I told them in my story. See, they coming in here. I told them in my story
Okay.
that I was getting on. So I
Man,
can
I
do
didn't think
this.
it was going to happen.
You ain't think I was gonna do it?
I didn't think that we were going to be able to get through that. I was like really cursing at myself right now. I was really mad at that. I was like, I know I'm not this old and retarded.
Nah.
Super funny. As my daughter, Alabi is trying to call in now.
I was like, what's that noise?
That's Alabi. That's your
Oh.
new phone. She got mad at me because I ordered Indian food and did not invite her over.
Ooh, Indian food. Love Indian.
Yeah. So,
I'm on the phone.
without further ado, we get to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was thinking of my questions, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be pretty good. I'm actually looking forward to her responses. So
Oh shit, man. I ain't
yeah.
prepare y'all because homie was tired to sleep and actually got some shut eye. I was laughing at myself because little stuff was happening, like, people calling me or whatever. And I would realize when I woke up that I was sleeping with my mouth open, and I don't never do that. So I must be like dog tired. I was like, oh, I know I'm lying. This is
That's funny.
real quick.
That is mad funny. That is hilarious. Are we gonna open up Agboato Orilewa? Are we gonna open up the session for questions after we do ours?
Yeah. So I want the way I envisioned it was you could interview me, and then I have like two main questions that I want to ask you. I know the answers to those questions, but um,
Two questions.
yeah, I'm asking two, and then I'm gonna let them ask whatever they want as far
Wait,
as.
wait, wait. I thought we agreed to do eight apiece. What happened?
So look, we are. This is what I want to do. It's engagement. So I want the people to ask you questions because
All right.
a lot of them have questions that you can answer that I'm not on the level to answer yet. So I'd rather it be more effective in I'm gonna ask two, and then I'm gonna let them ask because a lot of them have questions they want to ask. So if you know you're gonna have a question to ask a Babalawo, put a thumbs up for me. So Baba
They've
can
been reaching out to you.
absolutely. I know you've been getting called because I be
No,
sending your number out.
I had maybe 2 phone calls, but
Well, them the ones that's brave, but you finna get a flood because people that had questions about Ifa, I understand the image that I have, I guess, on the gram, but I don't overstep boundaries. So when it comes to Ifa, it's like I'm still an Aborisha, I'm still learning, and I don't want to try to fake like I know everything about it. I don't. So I only
Maya
make.
Petraby is on here too, so she can answer some questions as
Okay.
well. Yeah, Oshungere could come in, and then you have a god sister in here as well. Yeah, Orilewa.
Okay. So the two
Um,
questions, hey y'all, the two questions I'm gonna or you want me to go ahead and tell you the two questions I'm gonna ask you?
let's go. I'm following your lead on this.
Well,
You're the Instagram live queen.
you're gonna be the way I envisioned it, you're the best way to close it because I want them to
Okay.
be working on self-discovery, not so much
Okay.
just talking about me. So in the beginning we'll let you ask me questions and then we'll close out with letting you speak and giving them a chance to ask exactly what they want to know. Guys, everybody that's been asking me about initiation, everybody that's been asking me about elekes, like one of my main questions I'm going to ask is for your wisdom on purchasing elekes, like from people who make them and sell them, because I get a lot of that in my DM. And then another question I'm going to ask you is about
Wow.
people who are not initiated, whether or not it's appropriate to be having shrines, especially for Miss Popular Oshun in your home. So
Wow.
I want you to be able to answer questions, generally speaking, for the collective about how to
Yeah.
respect the tradition and how to go about it, especially if you're not initiated. So those will be my questions, and any questions they want to ask, I'll open the floor for 6 more, and that'll be my total of 8.
Look at her pulling from her village. I'm so proud of you.
So, we can start with you, Bobby. You could go ahead and unleash them dragons on me. Lord have mercy.
Unleash the dragons. That's what you calling them.
Yes. Can you come plug my lamp up for me?
You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm using this without my reading glasses. I'm trying to
Oh
be.
shit.
Yeah. All right.
Baba
I
without
try
his
to do that every now and
glasses.
then. Yeah. Uh, what can you tell those who do not have the patience to achieve their highest destiny? What advice would you tell those who don't have the patience, who you have, other people have recognized and you can recognize that don't have the patience to achieve their highest destiny, but are hungry to do so
All
and eager to do so? That's my first question for you.
right. So the first thing that jumped out in my spirit to say is be gentle with yourself. Um, a lot of the times we can stunt our growth by trying to prove that we're ready for the next level. I just think you should pace yourself with spirituality because it's not all namaste and the aesthetics that you see on the gram. True spirituality is very murky and dark. It's like the womb for the spirit. Like you're going through a period of development, and growth can hurt. So I think you should have some patience with yourself because before you can ask people, what your purpose and your destiny is. I get that question a lot from readers. Like, I want to know what my purpose is, or I mean, not from readers, but from clients. I want to know what my purpose is on this planet, or what my spiritual gifts are. This is what I mean as an example of walking before you could crawl. You're not ready to know what your spiritual gifts are and what your purpose is if you haven't already handled the things that can stifle that. So I feel like you should be focusing on your traumas, healing the inner self, really focusing on getting to know yourself. Know thyself is not just where you come from culturally. It's also why you do the things you do, why you react the way you react to certain things, whether or not that's appropriate. And really just holding yourself accountable, checking yourself. When you get to a point where that's second nature and conviction is not a punishment, it's more so of a highlight for you, and like, oh God, this is something I got to work on. You know, when you feel that feeling like you might have fucked up. But and my bad if you don't know me, you in here because you on Bible page. I be cussing, but
Hey, it's all good.
sorry, that's just who I be or whatever. But yeah,
Fine.
you wanna focus on your inner self or whatever, and get to know yourself, get to know who you are, where you come from as a human, where you come from as a spirit, and then you have to ask questions like, what's my purpose and what's my destiny to a reader. I feel like to ask that question to a tarot reader or a diviner like myself, it's a waste of your money. Now I have to provide the service, but I think it's a waste of your money. One, because even if you know what it is, you're not really ready to partake or fill those shoes. Because I know that because if you had to ask me that, you're not ready. Because when you're working on yourself, that type of shit just come to you. You just kind of fall in alignment with what you were supposed to do, and everything feels right, like you're at the right place at the right time. You feel hope, you feel gratefulness, you feel all this high vibration. So you'll know what your purpose is when you've done the work to align with it. That's my answer. So be patient with yourself.
Patience. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. This is fun. I like this. What advice would you give yourself? The second question. What advice would you give yourself if you met her 10 years ago to best prepare for her future?
Oh my God, the way I feel. That question. Y'all want to know who Shekinah Glory was?
10
At
years
18?
ago. 10,
At
10
18?
years ago. Yes. You're
Son,
not getting no easy questions.
first of all, I would have no children. I didn't start having my kids till I was 20. My first two were back to back, so like 20 and 21, and then Dallas came in 2016. But at 18, I
10
was
years ago.
reckless. I was reckless. I would say I was reckless. I don't even like to think about who I was back then. I was fighting, I was getting tatted, and I mean like basement tattoos, like going to little ratchet tattoo parties. Could have caught the sauce in there. Let people needle me. I was impulsive. I was so impulsive. Like you couldn't be trying to throw shade in a conversation. Like I was a spider monkey. I would just like pop you real quick and then have to think about it at the end. Like, we didn't even have to take it this. I was toxic as fuck. I was damaged. So I would
Mm.
18-year-old self to heal, but how do you tell an 18-year-old to heal? Like, I'm very, very honored to be guiding what I understand is Generation Z. I'm happy to be on the guidance team because they catching it so young, they catching it so early, they're interested so young. Like when I hate to even think 10 years ago I was 18, but when I was 18, I wouldn't have been in my inbox. I wouldn't have been in a Madame Fibonacci inbox trying to figure out what my purpose is and why I'm seeing 222. I probably wasn't even looking at the time. It's whatever time I fucking said it is. I was impulsive. So I would just
Okay.
tell myself to heal. I would tell myself to chill. See, Bronna's 19. I'll shave. I would chill. I would
Yeah.
get to know. I would go to therapy, to be honest, because
Mm.
at the time spirituality for me wasn't. It wasn't. I didn't even know about it. So I was super super zombie at that age, and I wouldn't even known to follow a page like my page right now. Like, so, or engage with people like that. I was engaging with low, not to be shady, but they were vibrating low, so low lives. I was being one. I wasn't standing in my purpose at all. So I would just tell myself to get a therapist. I would tell myself that love, the love I was looking for, I could never I would never, and I can and could never get it from another person. Like the love I was looking for, it had to come from me. And then like once I've achieved that level of happiness and contentment with who I am, check my and know how to check myself, then I can attract my, my mate, and we love each other by loving ourselves. Like because I love myself, I won't do certain things to you because that's just a reflection of how I really feel about myself. We would understand that, so it'd be easier to get over little shit. But me back then, I was fucking okay, trying to find love. Look, Pops, you asked. I was trying to find love. I thought it was behind the zipper.
I'm dead. I'm
I thought
dead.
it was
I'm
behind
dead.
the zipper.
All of us, though. All of us at that age, right?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't wanna judge. Maybe some people were a little bit more timid than I was. I was in and out of jail. I've been to jail 8 times. Like I was reckless, bro. So that would be
Look at
my
you now, Chris
look at
Brown.
me now. You would not look people that knew me back then. I'm good with faces, right? So I'm back in the DMV. I'm back in my original stomping grounds before I moved to Atlanta. So
That's great.
I'm just like seeing people running into people and shit. I'm like, oh my God. They like, who the fuck is you? And I have to tell them who I am. They be like,
Yeah.
oh, I do know you, but you don't. I know like everything about me has changed. Like even I don't even look the same. Like
You don't look the same
I know my
yeah.
aura is felt differently. Like I know my
Yeah.
energy and my aura is felt differently because back then I was, like I said, just wow and scandalous. But now
So
I'm just like chill and
so therapy. You would start with therapy as a precursor to delving into spirituality, or like a prerequisite. You would say, is that what you
I
would
would I
as
would
the
say
advice?
I would say you need to slow down and you need to go to therapy. But I'm only saying therapy just in case there's somebody in the chat that's that age and feels like that they can relate to that vibration. I'm only saying therapy because at that age I wouldn't have known. I didn't know about spirituality, so I wouldn't have known to meditate. I would, I was a Muslim. I was in Islam. I was bouncing between that and Christianity. Sometimes I would feel myself, going through this inner tug of war with religions. So I was just a lost person. And I feel like the worst thing you could do when you're lost is get more lost by trying to just take your chances taking certain roads and shit. I would just sit down and try to analyze going and then come up with a strategic strategy to move forward. So not be so impulsive. That's what I
So
was
therapy and the
therapy.
strategy coming from the therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned before self-love.
It would that would have cultivated self-love in me, because if a therapist is really doing what they're supposed to do, you're going to uproot everything hidden, in my subconscious. And I would have been able to face, my history with abuse and neglect and shit like that. I would have been able to face those things and then blossom into a more productive adult, so
I think you're doing. I think you're doing amazing. You
thank
know.
you.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something before I get to the third question. A lot of times, you hit a key point when you reference therapy, because a lot of people come into spirituality with vices or addictions or bad habits, if you will, or a combination of the three. You know, and I think, well, I know that people will use ritual space and or the sermon space or uh, the revival space of church, and whatever they do, as a band-aid for spiritual growth and development. And I think, well, the when you go into that space looking to have that ritual space or that revival and all that other stuff be your new band-aid, then you're still not dealing with the problem. And therapy allows you to kind of deal with the problem and being counseled through your own inner spirit with a guide, if you will, in whichever modality you choose.
I agree with that, but what I want to say to piggyback off that, therapy is, in my opinion, it's like behavior based, right? Whereas a lot
Yeah,
of people go into spirituality for the aesthetic of it, but not realizing that it's still, equivalent to therapy. The only difference is
hmm
guiding yourself, and you're letting spirit and nature and things like that be your
yeah,
cues as
yeah,
well. But that takes what? Personal discipline and accountability, like to be able to notice those signs and then go into action when you notice them. You don't have nobody holding your hand. So I would say therapy is like public school, whereas spirituality is like online school. Like you are your own.
yeah,
You are the reason you get the grade that you get. You got to teach yourself. Everything is provided for you, but you got to put in the work to get the A. Whereas in public
yeah.
school,
That part.
it's a little bit different. You can raise your hand, you can have that interaction, you have one-on-one guidance, you have those group sessions, and that's what like therapy and therapeutic psychology and psychiatry does. So I think that's the difference, being whether it's medical or
Yeah.
it's personal. It's a personal journey. So yeah, I agree with that. I just wanted to add that to it.
No, I should give thanks. Not everybody that goes into space within E5, that I know for a fact. Not everybody that's a priest is a counselor. I'll be the first one to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not everybody has that gift, and not everybody can do everything in our traditions, just like in every other tradition. So there's that piece as well. So that's good advice for your 18-year-old self.
Yes,
To
it
give
is.
your 18-year-old self. Who was your greatest influence / hero as a child, and why?
Oh, why do I feel so sentimental about the question?
Yeah, we
Who
going in.
I'm like, who did I look up to?
Who we going in?
Because I was
All
always,
things Madame Feminaci.
I was always that kid. I never really like, even in this followed me even into adulthood. Like I'm not the starstruck type. I've
Okay.
never been the type to be like, oh my God, it's you. Like
Yeah.
because of the popularity my mom had, um, I was always around celebrities, like from Dougie
I
Fresh to
remember you sharing that.
always around celebrities in Atlanta and in DC. So I never looked at anybody as a really big like person. I looked at it. As a child, I honestly understood fame. I looked at them as the popular kids. So everybody just likes you, and it's just on a bigger scale. It's just not in the school. In the world, you're the popular kid. So and you have these things and these resources and things that people that aren't popular don't have. It's the same dynamic. I always saw it as that. So I didn't necessarily have somebody, but I had some things
Okay.
that made me feel connected to ascension at a young age. I would say the closest the closest person before I say to some things would have been Left Eye. And it wasn't until I saw her documentary when after he had passed and they had published her documentary or whatever, or broadcasted it. I want to say it was on either on MTV or VH1. But
Yeah.
I remember watching it and I knew she was on to something at a young age. She had this obsession with the number 9. It was all this galactic spaceships and things, in her documentary she talked about seeing spirits, hearing spirits, and I was fairly young. Like I want to say like 8 or 9, somewhere in that little gap when it happened, but I remember watching it and just feeling like she's on to something. And I admired what I admired about her was, one, she was wild, right? She's the one that burned down her husband's house and shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like she was the one that in TLC you would think was the nut, right? But she was the one that
He
was the
was he
most,
was the Busta Rhymes of the group.
Like exactly, like
Yeah,
you
she used
had
to go in.
Chili was sexy and chill. T-Boz was like the homie and chill, but goddamn Left Eye was a
Yeah, she went
she was
in.
me. But
So
what I would say
that was your hero, your
my
influence,
I would say that was
your
my
greatest influence.
without
Yeah.
me knowing though, because it was one
Yeah.
of the things like when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, there's other people out here like me. You know, she talked about numerology,
Mm.
talked about divination, spirituality. She did all of that. And then she was even putting together signs like how she saw something one day and then something happened the next day. So I was able to connect with that. But what I thought was admirable to close out the question is that she was a celebrity, like a part of this really big classic group, but she pulled out. She like
Mm.
broke off and went to I want to what was it, Panama or Peru or something like that. But I know she went to
Yeah.
those countries,
Yeah.
and
With
she was
Dr.
in the
Sabi, it was
yeah,
Belize.
and
She went to Belize. Yeah.
she was in the woods and in the
Or
forest.
Honduras. It's
It
either
was
Belize
Honduras.
or
It was
Honduras.
something like that. You know what I'm saying? My point
Yeah.
is, she went somewhere with a whole bunch of greenery. She didn't have no shoes. She wasn't dressed in her finest jewels. She wasn't trying to come off as a celebrity. She took her crew. They were meditating. They were trying to become one with nature and spirit. And I admired that. I really looked at it like all that you could have, and all the men that probably want you, and what you're choosing to do is like break away from this, and you feel like there's wealth in connecting to God and earth, and
Yeah.
that's what made that was my person if I had to pick somebody.
Hey, Alabia. I got to give a shout out to my daughter.
Hey,
She's in the DMs or in the thread, the live thread. That was a great question or a
it
great answer. Thank you.
was a great
I
question.
no, great answer. Excuse
Thank you.
me.
No, I'm agreeing with the question.
Um,
That was a great question. I felt some type of way.
so I'm about to go in now. We're about to
All
go in now. So
right.
you've been born. What was the greatest lesson you learned from the one you love the deepest?
Oh, he
Sorry.
did not come to
Sorry.
play. He did not come to play.
Sorry. Because for me, that's my lens with E5. We've talked about this before. You know,
You know what's
that's for
funny?
me. Yeah, that's what E5 is.
You know what's funny in answering this question? I loved all my niggas the same. Let's start with that. Because the way I love, listen, the way I love is the
Oh
way
my
I
God.
like that's how I love anything and anybody I love. I don't if you ever was in that space with me, there's no, oh, I love Johnny more than I love Jen.
Okay.
All my niggas got my love. What I would say though is that they might have got different variations and intensities of it based off the stimuli because I am empathetic, and based off the vibrations and the chemistry, the astrology. Everybody might have had different isolated incident, but one thing I noticed for me is that that the lesson was the same in all the relationships, which is why I started with saying I love all my niggas the same. I never
Are
looked.
you sure?
Am I sure what?
Are you sure that your greatest lesson
Oh, that's not. I didn't
was
say the
this?
lesson yet. I didn't say the lesson
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Well, I
Okay.
was just starting with the precursor of
Okay.
in trying to analyze my answer. I really just that fast went through the men that I dated, like seriously, and it's only been like there's only 3 men that I took very serious. Other men were like flings that came and went, but the men that I loved were the fathers of my children, and then the ex that or the guy that I dated when I came into spirituality. That was my first conscious
Okay.
date. So those 3 men I loved very deeply, but the lesson I got from all of them is that I have to love me. And I know that's a real shallow answer, but I didn't know what love was. If I feel like
Mm.
I feel like if I would have learned love the way I've learned it now. If I would have learned how to fulfill those voids within myself before I got into the relationship, I probably would have never dated them first and foremost. Because once I discovered how to love myself, they're not even my type. Like I be looking back on who I had my children with, and it's no shade, but it's just me calling spade a spade. We answering my question. I
Yeah.
personally, wouldn't have even liked them. Like they would have probably hit on me, and I've been like, ugh. But only because now I'm going off vibrations with men, so I would have seen from a mile away, mommy issues, addictions, abuse,
Yeah.
issues with gaslighting. I was dating physical manifestations of my traumas, which is why we would
Mm.
a really bad fight, because they would do shit that would take me back to when I got into that fight with my mom and ended up in jail. So, and I would always say in all the arguments, like, yo, you remind me of her, or like, oh, like, why would you say something like that? Because it would be my inner child talking, like, oh, we're back experiencing this same feeling, this same pain, these same rejections, the same, speaking but not being heard, putting your hands on me, and now me having to defend myself. It's like,
Yeah. The realness. Yeah.
I honestly, the lesson I feel like, all of my loves have taught me collectively and consecutively, because it was back to back to back. Like I didn't even give myself a break, you know.
Woo.
So
That's that tough love.
I'm just keeping it a stat, because I know it's probably people in the chat that's doing that serial dating and shit. Like you're just gonna keep dating the same energy in a different body.
Mm.
So until you
Mm.
really analyze why that shit happened the way it did, what you did wrong, because in understanding the seven hermetic principles, you understand that every action has a reaction. You understand that like attracts like with vibrations. You understand that you're supposed to be able to transmute negative energy into higher energy. But if you're not, aware of these things, then you're just constantly dating karma. It's a ripple effect. So life is constantly saying, try again. And you're going through the same level until you figure it out. It's just in different people. And you're wasting your time. We're not really counting bodies no more, but for the sake of understanding what I'm saying, you get more notches in your belt, fucking more people. Because you truly want love. You're not even trying to hoe out here. You truly want love. But you just going about it wrong. And I've been that girl, so I'm not even saying that from a judgmental point. So to close my answer, I'm just saying I would say that I learned I didn't know what love was. Till I learned how to love myself, I wouldn't have known what it should look like in somebody else, which is why I kept lowballing myself.
Ooh.
Kept dating people that was not even worthy, as far as
Yeah.
reciprocity is concerned. Of course you can't give me what I'm requiring. I'm not even giving it to myself and fucking with you. So that's where we're at. All right, next question.
The standing theme as I'm listening to you talk is a classic jazz standard, and I would encourage everybody to Google any version in YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what love is. It's a jazz standard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's heavy.
I'm gonna have to listen
Cassandra
to that.
Wilson has done it. The majority of your jazz vocalists have sang "You Don't Know What Love Is." So, I'm a music head.
I'm
So,
gonna have to listen.
but everything that you're saying is to the sentiment of that jazz standard. You don't know what love is, and it's a beautiful song. And so, yeah, I would encourage everybody to check that out just to get
Yeah,
into,
yeah. I love it.
get into that Monday evening vibe.
Excuse me. I'm listening.
So the intent behind me asking you these questions is so that when you do your lives, people understand, have a deeper framework of who Madame Fibonacci is.
Oh,
So that,
good. That's a good idea.
right?
Why I'm the way I
Yeah,
am.
yeah, because I'm a fan. Um, and so I said, people really need to kind of understand who and what she is.
Yeah.
Best way to do that was through the interview, right? So Uh,
Thanks, Baba. This is great. Great idea.
no, I mean, you know, this is what we need to do this. What is your love language and your love action?
I'll start with my love action because I know what I do all the time. That's why I say I loved all my niggas the same. I am a Virgo sun, Libra moon, Aquarius rising, and my Venus is in Leo. I'm a triple inner Leo, like a triple inner Leo energy. For some of you who are in astrology, just so you have a quick idea of me, planetary planetary wise, guys, we're not doing that. Cayenne, put your feet down. Just creating all this conflict. So anyway, sorry, y'all about to get put out. So ghetto every time, every live.
Baby kid.
Get used to this. Get used to this. But
Leave the babies alone. Leave the babies alone. But they good. They good. They doing their job. She about to throw a shoe. The chancleta is about to be dispersed.
let start that over, please. Re-ask me that question. My kids are really distracted.
What is your love language and your love action?
My love action is I spend money on you. And let me explain this and make you see it from a different perspective. I'm not trying to buy your love. As a Virgo and having my Venus in Leo energy, you want to think lioness, very protecting, but also can be very nurturing. Home is in family and loyalty is really big to the lioness, but to the Virgo, which is like that virgin mother, being a homemaker is as well. I'm an earth sign, right? I'm real big about stability. I'm really big about my bills being paid, my kids being taken care of, having money to buy food. And then I like to be able to, because I got that Libra in there too. I like to treat myself. So I need to be able to afford a specific type of lifestyle. With that being said, if I spend my money on you, you need to know that I love you because that is me giving. That's sacrificial to me. I could have used that money to pay a bill or clear a debt. I went and bought you a fucking coat. And I do shit like that in my relationships for no reason because I don't feel that gifts should only be given or showing appreciation for your mate should only be given, you know what I mean, during holidays when it's expected. I'm such an inner masculine because I have all those masculine placements.
Yeah.
I'm a doer, okay? I'm more of a doer than an emotional girlfriend. I'm the girlfriend that wants to show you that I love you. So I would put in the effort of setting up rooms or setting up dates or purchasing gifts and just giving them for no reason. So that is my love action. When you know you got me when I'm like, hey, I was out and I just thought of you when I saw this, so I got it for you. Or, you know, like that's usually how you know that I've fallen for you and I'm willing to prove that I would take care of you. So,
okay.
But I need that back, you know. So that's what I've learned is that there's nothing wrong with being so loving and boundless when it comes to love, as long as it's being reciprocated. Because after a while, you won't be able to pour from an empty cup, and then you go nuts, and then the relationship falls apart, and you get bad labels, you know, when it's over with because of how you might have reacted, because you felt exploited. So I deal with feeling exploited a lot because I am too nice when it pertains to giving and shit like that. So that's my action. I'm into acts of service, you know. But as far as my love language, I'm going to answer this based on the relationships that I've had that flopped and what I didn't get from them, and it's a pattern I'm seeing in myself. I like quality time. I could live without physical touch being a often thing because all that air within me, you know, all of that extra holding my hand and rubbing on me and kissing on me. After a while, I end up being that girlfriend and be like, all right, I love you too. Back up. And then that gets taken wrong, and now it's like, oh, we don't go together no more. So all that
They ain't no
physical
feelings
shit,
really here.
you know, every now and then, yeah, we can kiss and shit like that, but nah, physical touch ain't it. Quality time is it because we're busy all the time. You know, I want a man that's busy. So if he's busy, then I know that the nights that we do spend time, or the days that we spend time, or the moments that we share going on dates and shit like that, he took a part of his day. It's sacrifice. So quality time's a big deal to me. And what's another one? I would say gifts because I'm so given. So I know I've always wanted a guy that be like, oh, I got my girl matching sneakers, or I got her a bag, or I always like that little petty shit like that. So I think it's really cute when a guy takes the time out to go get something that you have to wear in front of everybody else. So the gift has to be something everyone else would see. So I like, you know, clothes, and I like jewelry and shit I could show off because it's a symbol. It's like I'm wearing that energy of love on me. It's a symbol of someone taking that time to go spend some bread on something they thought I would look good in, or something they thought I would like. And I wear that type of shit with love and pride. So those would be my two: quality time and gifts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, what is the most efficient way you center yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually?
Motherfucking immersion style spiritual baths. Period. I am a water because I have no water in my chart. None.
Mm,
So I need that element externally to calm everything else that I do have down. I got the fire, I got the earth, I got the air, I have no water. So
oh, okay.
I like to immerse myself in it because one thing scientifically I know about taking spiritual baths, but for sake of this conversation, I'll say salt baths, is the fact
Okay.
that we have an electromagnetic field. That's what the aura is in science. It's the electromagnetic field.
Mhm.
And obviously it's your shield. You don't even realize you walk around with a shield that actually is supposed to protect you from shit like the chemtrails they're doing in the 5G radiation and shit like that. Your aura should be strong enough to repel that shit. And there
Mm,
are times where our auras get rips and tears in them from our everyday interactions, vampiric energies, spirits living around us all the time trying to drain us and shit like that. um, so it's important to do things to purge that type of energy. And when I first was getting into spirituality, I was always told you're supposed to like dunk them over your head and stuff like that. Now, for certain traditional type of baths, like for with like Ifa and shit like that, like I got initiated. That's one thing. But for my personal routine, I call myself a modern day shaman. Like I like to put all of my herbs. I pretty much make a tea brew in the tub of herbs and let their spirits live through the water. Salt is the only thing that can help weaken the electromagnetic field in order to allow for debris to be purged out. And that makes sense if we use the law of correspondence, as above, so below. That's why we soak our chickens in our meat and shit in salt water and things like that before cooking, or cleansing your vegetables with vinegar water or salt water, stuff like that. It's the same concept for the body. For me, it's good
yeah.
for my skin, but it's also good for my spirit. um, and it's the water serves as a way to kind of flush it out, but the salt is what binds those energies in the molecules in the water. So it's the entire process for me is very ritualistic. Even as it's being drained out, I'm imagining all of that energy leaving, going away from me. And so that would be my way. I take spiritual baths in herbs, salts, and some of like my little juju tinctures and things like that. I put binaural beats on or music. I also light incense because sometimes I'll stand up and smudge myself. So I smudge myself with the incense, It'll be either dragon's blood or sea salt and rue or frankincense and myrrh. And it's like a trifecta in that motherfucker. I was soaking in the healing elixir. I got the vibrational cleansing through the vibration of sound. You know, the track is usually hitting the Tibetan singing bowls, or there's chimes, or there's nature sounds. So I'm really turning my bathroom into this place of mystery and wonder. Like I'm listening to waterfall tracks and shit like that, really getting involved. And then I'll stand up if the water's too hot and smudge my body in the smoke from the incense. So it's just all types of cleanses going on. And I keep a window open because I allow whatever that is leaving to leave my space. I think that's important for people to know, like, have a window open. So that's what I do to recenter myself. If I feel like I'm too off my pivot, I need to get in some water. If you ever seen the movie, was it Wanted? Isn't that how they healed? They were like immersed in that little clay shit for a minute, and then they come out, all they like shit was healed. That's the same understanding I have for spiritual baths, and I be soaking in them shit sometimes an hour, and then I get out.
Rejuvenation, like all their wounds would just be gone. Yeah, that was a deep movie. It was dope. Yeah, that movie was super dope. So spiritual baths, binaural beats, and
incense,
air, and incense, smoke and air. Okay. Thank you. What? We're on number 7.
Okay.
Yeah, we almost done. What's your portion? What would you do spiritually? What do you spiritually gain by sharing your story on social media?
Healing. I feel like my page on Instagram. Oh God, I feel like I'm getting all choked up. But healing, I get healing from my Instagram page because I was just talking about this to myself last I would say last night. My sense of time is off, but I before I laid down today for my nap. For the first time in my life, y'all, I'm happy to be who I am.